Good morning, everyone. This is Luciano Canzanella, founder and owner of FunnelProspect.com. This morning, I have Mr. Mark Cloutier online. He's the founder and owner of JmailerPro. JmailerPro is the system that we are using with our leads, and we will have a small presentation by Mr. Cloutier on the system and how it works, so you guys can all benefit from it. JmailerPro is the program that we have chosen because it has the ability for anyone to upload their email list, which is perfect with Funnel Prospect. As you know, many of the other autoresponders do not allow this feature, but after many months of research, we have found Mr. Cloutier and his program. We have invited to a presentation with us, and with further ado, Mr. Cloutier, take it over.
Hey, good morning, Luciano. Thanks for having me this morning. And yes, we've been in business for almost a decade now, originally servicing the network marketing industry, and that's been a wonderful experience to date, and we're sure hoping that we can help your group move forward with their projects as well.
Okay, Mark, so basically your system is just a very simple autoresponder with features that will allow anyone to upload their list, correct?
That is correct. We create semi-dedicated servers so that our clients are able to use purchased lists or any type list that they have to send them email messages in bulk.
Okay, perfect. When you say semi, can you explain that semi part again, please?
Yeah, basically we have different packages. Some of them are on a shared hosting environment. Some are on a dedicated platform. So that's why I say semi, because some could be on a shared, some could be on a
right. Right, and well, later on we're going to show them your price structure and everything. So, Mark, do you want to take us through maybe the back office of one of your servers so you can show how easy it is to operate them?
Yeah, and actually, if you don't mind, Luciano, I'd like to start at the ordering process, which might make a bit more sense.
Please, by all means. I was going to do that, but since you're doing it, it's even better.
Yeah, so
share your screen for us, please.
Okay, let me
get.
Perfect. Okay, we'll start here at the JmailerPro site. Basically, in order to get started, of course, just hit the Get Started Now button here. We do have a little bit of detail there and some comparisons with other providers. But to get started, you would just click here. Now, here are the 4 packages I was suggesting. The Cobalt package being the smaller of the packages we offer. The system sends 100 emails per hour. Up to 2,400 emails per day. There is a $50 setup fee the first month for every one of the packages. It does use a shared sending IP. Now, really the only thing that matters here, if you have a smaller list, let's say 1,000 or less, the shared should be fine because it does take some volume to build a reputation as you're sending emails. So if you have a smaller list, it's probably best actually to use the Cobalt. But if you have more than 1,000 leads, it's better to have a more dedicated platform. Now, the only other differences here is, of course, we offer email support only on the Cobalt. On the Bronze, Silver, and Gold, we do offer the phone support as well. And again, they all have the $50 setup fee here the first month.
Right, and I see the other package, then they will have dedicated IP addresses, which is great when it comes to emails and validation of the emails. Right,
and for higher volume, of course, what they do is just set up a rotating IP, so it just goes from one IP to the other to get the job done. Now, we do monitor these IPs. We monitor the domain names that are used. If for some reason there is a problem with the IPs or the domain name, the IPs, we just swap them out automatically on the renewal date of the server. In other words, if the IP falls down below a threshold that it's not worth renewing, we'll just change it. It doesn't cost the client anything more, and most of the time we do it without any knowledge of the
right
sender. The domain name we would actually have to get with the client and say, hey, we probably should swap this domain name, but it doesn't happen a lot.
Right. That probably depends on the volume. If somebody really sends a big, large volume of emails on a day.
A lot of the verbiage too, Luciano, if you're using a lot of income-related verbiage and stuff, it can botch up the domain name a little bit.
That is the verbiage in the subject of the emails, correct?
Subject and also the content. Now, the subject line is the first thing that is seen by spam filters. So, of course, it's very important not to use it in the subject line. You have to get quite creative there. And usually leading with a question is effective because a lot of people, they see it. You know, the subject line is set up in a question format. And, of course, human nature says, I wonder what this is. So they move forward and open the email and read it. But let's move on here. There is a lot of details there, but of course it's explained in the initial.
Yes, of course, yeah. And of course, for all of our subscribers and clients, we will have a link right under the video where you guys can click and purchase JmailerPro. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so let's say we wanted to order a package here. We just click here. Now, this is why I wanted to go through this process, because we are, in essence, a hosting company. So we host domain names. Once we host those domain names, that's where the emails will originate from. So some people have domain names already. Unfortunately, they may be in use already. Let's say they have a website built on it. They've got it hosted somewhere. Of course, we don't want to use that domain name. In fact, I always recommend let us register a new domain name. It's free with all the packages, and it does expedite the installation process very, very much faster. So if we have to get you to change the name servers on your domain name, you have problem accessing your registrar or whatever, there's a few things that can happen that can slow down the process. If you let us register it, then of course it's within 24 hours we can have the system set up. Okay,
that's good information to add.
So let's say you want JmailerPro to register a domain name for free. You would just start typing in a domain. Let's say, Yep, I put a space in there, didn't I? So that's all you need to do is just type the domain name. Now, once you click off of there, the system does check. Now, you can see this one is not available. Okay, so you would have to find a different variation. Let's say add a number 1. And there you go. That one is available. Okay, so once you've chosen your domain name, of course, the rest of the sign-up process is just simple: first name, last name, credit card information. Now you can choose PayPal or just use any credit card as well. So it's that simple.
Very simple. Yes, it's very bulletproof of there. It doesn't get any simpler than this.
Right. If for some reason you want to use your own domain name, you would click this. And of course specify at that point the system will allow any domain name. It won't check. But again, I highly suggest let us register one for you. It just makes the whole process so much faster.
Very well.
All right, so within 24 hours, you'll get an email from us that has basic instructions. In fact, we'll go over those instructions right now, so they can refer back to the email and go through the process. Once you log in here, this is the screen you'll see. It's the home page. In fact, to get to back to this page, you would just click the home button. But when you first log in, this is the page that you end up on. So the first thing to do would be to go to My Account tab here and just verify everything here. The full name is the from name that the email will be sent. Normally we'll have the client's name here, but let's say you wanted to use another name. This is the place to change it. My email system or whatever it happens to be. And of course, when you create a contact list, in fact, we'll save that here and you'll see. Always, set your time zone so that all the statistics will will be in your time zone. We typically try to set it based on the phone number, but if you want to change it, you can change it right here. And that's basically it. You will find, Luciano, that there's a lot of, you know, boxes and selections and things. Just everything has been pre-selected for the most part to just set up a campaign quickly. You can change the settings, but you don't have to. So if you do find a need to change them, fine, but just make sure you have the need before you just start unchecking and checking things, okay? Okay, so we're going to save this, my email system. Okay, we'll go back to the home. Again, you land here. You'll see a set of tabs here from left to right. And we're going to go, just like you're reading a book, start on the left side and work towards the right. The first process would be to create a contact list. So you'll want to create a contact list here. Let's say list name will be list 1. Now your prospect may see this name when they unsubscribe, because they have an option to unsubscribe from any lists that may be in your system. So of course you wouldn't want to put any derogatory word here. You know, you'd want to put something friendly. I like using leaders, you know, or my friends, or something positive, you know, that when they go to unsubscribe, they may go, wow, I'm on the leader list, and maybe I don't want to, you know.
Wow, oh, that's like that. You're giving some rooms. I mean, make some very nice tips over there. Yeah.
So let's say we call this leaders 1. Everything else, just leave it alone. Again, you have an opportunity to change this name here again for this particular list. Let's say you had multiple opportunities that you were working with. You can set the from name differently on each contact list, so that one would be business A, business B, and so on. But just for the test here, we're going to leave it like that. You just click save. So here you're at the view contact lists now. That's where you land on after you create one. The second step would be to upload the leads. So second tab, just click it here. Import contacts from a file. Once you get to this stage, you'll have all your lists here eventually. You'll just choose the list that you want to upload to. In this case, we only have one. So we just choose that, click next. Here, again, leave everything the way it is. If you have a file, now most of the files these days that vendors are dispersing have a title row. In other words, the first row has information about what each column says, like first name, last name, and so forth. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, see, the list that we generate with our leads is delimited by field. So first name, last name,
yeah,
an IP address, a phone number, and the state where they're calling from. So those are delimited field in a CSV file.
Right. So in this case, I'm going to check this box. It doesn't matter if you do or don't, but it tells the system to read the first row. That's all.
Which is
yes.
The header, yeah.
This file contains headers, okay? Then you just hit the browse button. Of course, it's called browse in Firefox. It's called something else in Chrome, I'm not sure. But you'll just hit this button here. In this case, I do have a small demo test file. And we just click next. Now here's the mapping sequence. Now some files will have a lot of other information. I highly recommend to import as much information as you'll be using. You don't have to import it all, but let's say you wanted to ask the person how the weather was in their city and state. Well, you could do so if you had imported the city and state. So more of this personalized information that you have, the better, because you can use it in your outbound email. And it shakes up the email a little bit and makes it to where it's not, you know, all the same. So in this case, first name and the last name were auto-detected. If it hadn't, of course, you just click this and choose whichever one is the proper column. First name, of course, we want to go to first name. Last name is the last name. And, of course, the email address, it didn't automatically pick up, so you just choose it here, email address. And that's it. Click next. Here you'll hit start importing. Now here's where the system is importing. We do have a suppression list, Luciano, that has I think probably about 4 million email addresses in there of, known spam traps, honeypots, folks that just complain every time you send them an email. So it does scrub against our list here and tries to identify those. As you can see right here, 28 of those so far, 29 have been suppressed.
Right, and I did notice that because I was doing an import just a couple of days ago with a list from a client, and he did find about 6 addresses in between. It was about 5,000 email addresses, and found 6 addresses, which is good that you explained this because I was wondering what was the suppression list.
Yeah, it is an internal suppression list. We can turn it completely off for each client if they request it, but I don't recommend it unless you really are comfortable with your list.
Yeah, exactly. No, I believe it is actually good to have it.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So
are you updating the compression list often? I mean, you keep...
Oh yeah, every time we have a complaint that causes an issue with a client, we've added that email address to the global suppression. So it always stays current. In this case, 3,439 contacts were imported successfully. 34 were suppressed. Of course, you can click here to have a look if you care to. And it does give you a breakdown of which ones were suppressed.
Well, this will make good because once you have I guess automatically it will get removed from the list you uploaded, so you don't have to worry about those anymore. Exactly.
No, it's just for your viewing pleasure. Here, the 6 contacts contain bad data. Usually what that means is there was missing an @ symbol or something. So, yeah, see, invalid.
Invalid email address.
Yeah. Now, this one didn't have an email address. So, of course, it couldn't import it. The system does not import it if it doesn't have an email address on the row.
Okay.
Of course, it's useless in our system if it doesn't. Okay, so that's basically it. We went to the second tab. Third tab now, we go to Email Campaigns tab. Now here we're going to create an email campaign. This is where you create the actual email. Nobody sees this word, so that's just for your categorization and be able to identify each email. And we're going to call this one email 1. Now by default, the system sends in multi-part. In other words, it sends an HTML version as well as a text version, which is an industry standard. So I highly recommend to leave it on that. If for some reason you want to do just HTML or text, you can change it here, but I would always leave it there unless you had a good reason not to. Here we do have some basic templates. I think there's almost 100 templates here. Of course, it's not loading here, and I'm wondering if it's because of the screen share. Normally, it'll show you a small preview here.
Yeah, I seen them when I was the other day in the back office, so I see all the email templates loading.
Yeah. There it is. Okay, it just a little slow. So there are some templates here, but you don't want to get so fancy on a template sending to people that don't know you, and there's a couple reasons why. The more images that you use in your outbound email, the more words you have to write. The more words you have to write, the more words can get caught in spam filters. So think about this when you're sending to people that don't know you. You need to really, in my opinion, lead with your best, USP there, the unique selling proposition, or if it's simply to go to another website to fill a form, just go there, give them a quick teaser and have them go to a landing page, because the more words you use in your template, the more those words will be used against you in an outbound email. So in this example, I'm going to use no template, which by default it will be unless you choose one of these. Okay, here we have the email creation page. And if you notice here, there are 2 sections. You have an HTML section here, and you have a text version here. So as you're creating the email here, let's say, just going to write a quick email. Now, we can use personalization tags in here, and I highly recommend it. And again, it makes each email leaving your system different than the previous one, which is really important. It's not just the same exact email over and over. So of course you could use a personalization tag. You would hit the insert a custom field button here. Here are some general things, subscribe link, subscribe date, company address, and things like this. But for the first name and things like that, you would just click this button here, which opens up another list there that's unique to the list that you uploaded. Mm-hmm. Once you get several lists, it doesn't really matter unless you've changed anything by default. You would just click this button, choose first name, and voila, it puts the first name tag in your email. Now, if you wanted to use this in the subject line, you would simply copy it. I just press Control-C on my keyboard, because sometimes this will not work depending on your security settings, so it's always best to use the keyboard shortcuts. Control-C, and I'm going to say Control-V as in Victor, and it pastes it up here. So now this will say your information, Mark. Here's your information, Mark, and of course, let's see.
Now, of course, by having that parameters with the first name in the subject line, it helps as well with a spam filter, especially when it looks at the subject, correct?
Yes, exactly. Well, it just makes each one different,
right?
Because it'll say Mark, Luciano, or whoever that the recipient is here. And of course, the more the tags you use in your outbound email as well, you could simply say, how. This is just a very goofy example, but
mm-hmm.
Whether in insert a custom field. Let's see, city.
Right, and then if the list has a city field, it will pick up with that thing, and exactly. It will pick up with those information.
Yeah, how's the weather in Jacksonville, Florida, or where you're from? So once you get please. All right, so let's say you want to put a link in here. You could just simply put www and the web address, let's say google.com, just for giggles. Now it's important that, a lot of folks will want to hyperlink words. In other words, to go to Google here, you could simply say, make this a link by highlighting any of the words on the page. And if you see up here, there's a broken chain and a chain that's not broken. And you would hit the one that's not broken. It brings up another dialog box. Here's where you would put the actual URL. And again, you have to include the HTTP
right.
in this one. Okay, so now that would be it. Now what happens though in some inboxes, Yahoo is really bad about this, is if it lands in the spam folder, this link is disabled.
Okay.
So with that said, it's probably best to not do it this way and
just to put the actual URL after.
So then they can always copy and paste it if they want to go to the website, just happen to land on their spam folder. So you go to Google, and then you would just highlight these.
Could you do both? You do the link, and then you put the URL, so you have a double save.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. In fact, if you don't hyperlink this, it may not be clickable on the recipient's end, and of course our click-through tracking won't be able to track it. So you'll always want to, in this particular area on the HTML side of things, you'll want to hyperlink it, just like in a Word document. So here we'll make again, always include HTTP when you're creating this. And this will make it clickable on the recipient's end. Okay. Okay, so once you've done that, now the system automatically inserts the unsubscribe link on every email at the bottom. So in this case, if you don't put one in there, it would be right there. So of course, if you want it down a little lower, drop down a few lines and then the system would add it down here. Make sense? Or you can simply add it yourself right there. Okay? So, but if you forget, the system adds it. If you put one in there, of course, our system doesn't add one.
No, a good way of doing it is always to put the unsubscribe link just a little bit below, so they
yeah, so it's not just right up against there. Put some space between it. But my point is, if you don't put one in there, always leave that space because the system will insert it right there.
Insert it for you.
Okay. Let's go back to that. Now, once you've completed this, you'll go down here to the text version and just click this button. And that's it. That just creates the text version of the email, because some people still only can accept text emails, and normally it's when they're at work, when they're on a company
computer, yeah,
computer, whatever. A lot of them still use text, so they would receive this version here. So we'll want to make sure we always send both.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay. Now, once we've done that, you can check your email for spam keywords here. In this case, we have nothing that breaks any rules. Now, this is just a guide to, it's not etched in stone, but it just gives you a guide to kind of, I mean, the closer to zero you get, the better it is, of course. But let's say you, and of course it picks up the word free here. Okay. Now, also, we've broken another rule. It says the text version of your email is, oh, that's right. That's because we didn't put free here. So there. Okay, so now it picks up the rule broken here. But sometimes you'll have, let's say you forget to create this version, and you click this. Okay, the word free is still found, and it says message only has text HTML MIME part. So what it's trying to say is you don't have the text version created. So of course, once you do that, get rid of the word free. And check it again, and we're back to normal.
You could replace the word free with the word amazing, stuff like that.
You could. You could, and another trick, Luciano, is spell it this way. Space. Now that doesn't spell free.
Of course, yeah, because you got the spaces in between.
Right, so you get text. But of course, you know, words like this, those will even come up in spam filters at Yahoo, Gmail, because they've seen it so many times. So you do have to get creative, I think. Your suggesting of amazing would probably be a better fit.
And I saw from your system the other day that you have on your help file, you have a few little suggestions, so people can always pick up those ideas.
Yeah, and look, it did pick it up.
Oh yeah, he actually says even worse, it's 0. No, we don't want you to do it.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Once you get your email set up, and it's always best to type it out here. You can copy and paste from a Word document, but when you do, it'll sometimes bring over erroneous formatting. So if you want to copy over content from a Word document, you would just hit this W here.
And then it will import, and then you
paste it in there, and all it does is strip the formatting. I find I just build it here first, because this is basically like Notepad, you know. So you can create it here, or paste your Word document here, then copy it and paste it here, and then hyperlink everything and get everything the way you want. But you have options there. Use this Word document or just start here. All right, so we've got our things set up here. This view your email on different email campaigns. It's kind of antiquated right now. Most ESPs now accept email the same. In fact, if you click it here, it always says that Gmail removes anything before the body tags, but that's not correct anymore. In the last few years, everybody has pretty much standardized the way that they render HTML. So no need to really mess with that button. So this one is the most important. So in this case, we'll save and exit. Once we have the list now uploaded, we have the message created. You'll just go to the email campaigns tab again, send an email campaign. We'll choose the list that we want to send to. Click next. Here's where you'll choose the email that you want to send. In this case, we only have one, so email one. Everything else leave just the same.
One question I want to ask, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. On the previous page, you have the email, then it says update at the domain, then they choose.
You mean on the email here?
Yes, you say email address, then it's coming from. So it's basically it says update, and then you will see the domain that they chosen. Correct?
Right. Well, we set this email address up when the client orders the server. Now, for some reason, you want it something different than update at. You know, because we always use update because we're kind of suggesting we're updating someone, right?
No. That's not about the update. My question is like, because some people might reply to that email address. What if somebody replies to that email address? Where does that email will go?
In the initial email that we send a webmail access as well to check that email.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So you have the capability of check that email.
Yes.
To see if anyone has replied. Okay.
And back to the first topic that I thought you meant, this email address can be changed, but it needs to be changed by us. So even if you put, Mark at Yahoo here, it will save there. In fact, let's go here, edit in the list. Yeah. Now you can change the reply to email to go to anywhere. I highly suggest to use the one that we create for you though, because you don't want any problems with your main email.
No. I actually, once I know now that you can check that email, is pretty much fine. I mean, because you could even set up a forwarder inside a webmail.
You can.
Say, okay, an email then comes to this box, just send them to something else, so you don't even have to open the webmail anymore.
Yeah, and what I like to do is just set it up with your phone too. There's instructions just to set it. It'll come straight to your phone when you get a reply.
Perfect.
That's actually the better way. But there is instructions there once you log into the webmail interface. It's a simple cPanel webmail. Let me add some credits here. Give me just a moment. I used a demo account that doesn't have enough credits to.
Oh, you mean for your server?
Yeah, well, in this particular demo account, because these are demo accounts that we let people try. Let's see. Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So again, let's go to send an email campaign, which is the third step. Leaders. Next. Choose the email. And of course, you see here, even though I changed it to Yahoo, it's hard-coded in the software. So if for some reason you don't like update at, you would rather have Mark at or Luciano at your domain, simple thing, send an email. We can usually change it for you in just a few moments. Okay. And go next. All right, so here it gives you a breakdown. You're going to be sending the email called email one. So here's the subject line. This is the list that it will be sending to. This is how many contacts will get it. When it's scheduled, which is 10:38 on this particular system, is set to Central Time, I think. This tells you how big the entire send will be. And basically that's it. You'll want to click Schedule My Email Campaign. In this case, the system will start sending in 50 seconds. I don't think I'm going to send this entire list the message we created, so I'm going to pause it.
Yep.
I'm going to pause this. Now, really important thing here, when you do log in here, you are on this page. To get back to that email queue part, which tells you when the campaign was started, how many emails are left in that particular campaign, and whether you should start another one or not, you'll always want to check here first. View scheduled email queue under the email campaigns tab. And of course, it puts us back to here. You can see the campaign is paused right now, but once it's completed, this will change to completed. Then you'll be able to go to the statistics tab, view email campaign statistics, and of course, check it here. In this case, we haven't sent anything yet. But that's basically it. I mean, the system does a lot more than that. In fact, I have clients that have been with me for, the entire duration of our company, and they still get with me and go, wow, here's what I found I can do with this. And so they've got some very, very complicated funnels that they've created here. You can, create autoresponders. You can create custom fields. You can create triggers based on actions and all kinds of stuff. But just to do basic campaigns, which in my opinion, when you're starting, until you get a really good campaign that's performing for you, you need to just follow those 3 steps. Get some campaigns out, and of course you can contact us if you have any questions about the campaigns, and we can help you go over all the statistics.
So just a quick things, like when you do email campaign, it's almost like you say is a single broadcast. Let's assume you want to send one email to your entire list. Let's say you have 5,000, 10,000 email. Right. Email campaign, you just send a specific message, so it's like a unique broadcast to that particular list.
That is
a lot of our clients, they have like autoresponsor, like email series follow-ups. So then you suggest to do that and do that into the autoresponder part?
You can, but not with an entire list of unknown people. It doesn't make sense. You don't want to have a 10 email series sending to 5,000 people that only 50 of them have actually opened and are engaging. In my opinion, those 50 people now you can follow up with, but it can get a bit complicated until you get used to the system. It's just so much easier to do straight campaigns. And let's say you wanted to do a campaign just to the people that went to a particular link. You can do so on the fly. You can send an email campaign. You would change this button to send an email to contacts who match my search criteria. Choose this. And here you could send it to people that had just clicked a link or just opened the email. And that's your engaging audience. I mean, really, that's what the whole concept is of email.
You can actually set up another email that afterwards goes only to those of then they open an email or click the link. So at least that you're not wasting all their traffic with people that didn't open a previous email.
Exactly. So just keep processing new leads all the time. Identify the opens and clickers and follow up with those folks. Those are the ones that are engaging. And of course, it helps your server reputation as you do that as well. The more engaging your recipients are, and I don't mean engaging by clicking on this is a spam button. I mean, they're clicking through, they're going to the website, they're spending any course Yahoo, Gmail, AOL.
They're actually reading the content and they're absorbing what it is. Now, let me ask you something. So if your system is so intelligent and smart to differentiate that, so let's assume I want to still email my list because I want to eventually get more engagement. Maybe somebody didn't see the email, didn't open it. So I send maybe next day another broadcast. And does the system remember which people were already open before, or does it put them on a different list? Or?
That's a great question. So let's say we're doing the same thing here. I'll go through the steps once again. We're going to create an email we're going to send an email campaign. We're going to send it to email to contacts who match search criteria. Go next. And let's say you wanted to send the ones that did not open the email. Filter by opened, you just choose this to has not opened.
Perfect. So you don't broadcast the same. So let's say I want to broadcast the same email, but I don't want to bother those guys then they're open. I can just say, well, send email to all of the one that didn't open the email.
Yeah, exactly. Or, a lot of people, it's best sometimes, especially when you're starting, not to hit everybody at the same time. So a lot of folks, what they do is they'll come in here and have, depending on how it is in your thing, you could hit people just in Florida.
Right. And we have our system, just so you know, a funnel prospect, we deal straight 100% with United States leads. So our list is only based on United States, but it is divided by state. So I can say, okay, well, today I'm emailing Florida, and tomorrow I'm emailing Texas. So then I can differentiate from each one that I want to connect with. That is actually a very good point that you made that.
Yeah, and it's, you know, just got me thinking too. I mean, it's great to do a little research on the state you're sending. And of course you could have a little bit of personalized message for that particular group. Hey, I see that so-and-so in Georgia is, you know, just to try to connect with people, because that's really all you're doing. You're just trying to make that connection at this stage.
Right.
You're not going to, you know, make a sale to a total stranger unless you've got an irresistible offer. However, you can make a good relationship just by getting people to respond. You know?
And this is something that I always advocate to my clients and even my consulting clients, since I've been doing that more marketing for 9 years, is a lot of people say, oh, I just send an email and I'm going to get sale. It is not like that. Before it used to be, but now you have to create a relationship and you have to offer values. People want to know you, even eventually check your Facebook profile. Who is this person? What does it do? Once people, they get confident, then they say, actually, this is a real person and actually like what Luciano or Mark have to say. He has done some videos, and this is also why we're doing a bunch of videos, because people have the chance to relate that we're actually real people and not understand that somebody just behind a computer hacking away. Then they will feel confident. So what I always say to all my clients is, please recreate, and as you mentioned, create a relationship, a rapport, make sure that you have a connection before you can even sell anything to those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is a good system to at least be able to meet people that may be like-minded based on the content in your email. You know, you're not going to be able to get everybody interested every time, but you can get people interested in what you're interested in by always putting your interest in the content. So you're connecting with people that are a bit more like-minded rather than a shotgun method. It's more of a, you know, sniper rifle method where you're really trying to connect with people. You know, people that are like you.
Perfect. I like that, and I'm sure our customers will find this information valuable. So it's apart those filters, is anything else that they should know?
No, I think that's it. I mean, like I said, the system does a lot, but just to get campaigns out, and you can see that you can segment these things on the fly at any time. You just create another email that's toned to the people that have opened the email, perhaps, or somebody that's clicked a particular link. You could say, hey, I noticed you went to the website. You didn't take the action, whatever the action was, fill out a form or request more information or whatever. And you can say, hey, I'll be in the office today from 3 to 5. Feel free to call me. Here's my number.
Perfect. Now I wanted to touch base on that, because can we go back quickly to your email packages? Because I have some questions about that.
On the order page?
Yes, please. Because as I see from the email package, like for instance, for the bronze, you can send 20 email per hour, which 5,000 email per day. So now let's assume, as you know, and people might collect more than 5,000 emails per day. So if you send a broadcast and your broadcast is above that 5,000, how does the system work with that? Does it push the remaining email for the following day?
Hold on one second, Mr. Allen. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
Well, basically, it's an hourly send rate, as I was suggesting, and so it would just send, in this case, 200 emails an hour until it was done. So if you had 6,000 leads in the list, it would just keep sending it 200 an hour until it was done. So it would take 1 point something days.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm saying is, like, for those folks, then they want to send more email to their list. They need to calculate their when their list will be finished, the first send, before they send the next one. Or if you put that in the queue, then the system will wait to finish the first one and then will start sending the second one.
Right, exactly. And you can set these on a timer. And as you just suggested, that would be important to know your package limitations in order to only start them after. In fact, you want to leave a little bit more time because it's not a perfect science, because bounces are retried multiple times. Mm-hmm. So, just so the system can identify, is it soft bounce, is it a hard bounce? So it can try up to 4 times on some of these bounces. So it does take up some of the bandwidth, some of the send rate. Mm-hmm. So, you don't want to set it exactly 24 hours. You may want to go 25, 26, leave it a few hours ahead. But like here, you could send an email campaign, and by default, it's yes, send my email campaign now, but you can uncheck that and set it in the future.
Right, so you can set schedule on it, so you can, if somebody says, you know what, I'm busy all week, let me set all this schedule and the triggers up, so you can choose on Monday, you do all your trigger, and then you set it, and off you go. The email goes out for the entire week for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And other things that I wanted to check. So you suggest for people, then they collect that large list, 20,000, 30,000, then to just upgrade the package and just go to the higher package with the JmailerPro. Yeah,
you can. I mean, if you've got, if you got 1 million leads, you don't want to wait around at 100 an hour to get it.
No, of course not. But I mean, I see that you have a limitation of 20,000 email per day. I'm assuming that you don't have any more packages after that, correct?
No, it's not. I mean, if people have the need for a different system, sending to lists that aren't in-house, it's best to have another system. I mean, we do have people that have multiple gold systems, and that's what they do.
Okay, so they set up multiple accounts. So then,
right, because remember, each email will be coming from a different domain name then, not specifically the other one, which is where everything is tracked from the spam filters. Mm-hmm. That and content. Of course, if you get a different system, you don't want to use the same exact message. You probably want to change it around a little bit.
Right. Let's assume then you have 20,000 email. Mm-hmm. Okay, your list is large. Okay, you have a really large list, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 email. So how would you split the list? Would you keep the same list and then split the emails in different email lists, and then every day you send to a different one? How would you work on something like that?
That's a good question. I would probably upload the entire list into the server. Now, I usually like a list no bigger than 20,000 because it can take quite a long time if you have a smaller server. But 10 or 20,000 is about the max. If you have more leads than that, just make another list, of course, and then they'll start and stop when they're supposed to, and you'll have some flexibility of pausing one, starting another with a different message to test. You can do split testing just by sending a portion of one and then a portion of another. But you have the flexibility of doing that if you have multiple lists rather than just one big one.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. And if you know, then you're going to reach, let's assume, and then you say, okay, right now on the bronze, for somebody who took the bronze, it's got a 5,000. So, okay, my first email list is 5,000. Now I'm going to, and if I have another batch, because there are people in our space, then they buy lists of 5,000 and 10,000 and so forth. So I would suggest to those clients, okay, now you have the first list, create another email list called email list 2, and then you're going to upload that thing, so then you can send email to the list, so you can differentiate the two lists. Is that what you suggest?
Exactly. That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
The more separation you have, now if you're trying to dedupe your entire thing, it may make more sense to make one large list because the system won't allow duplicates in one list. Now, it will allow duplicates across multiple lists, though. So
that's what I was thinking, because then you will have to check the duplication on all the lists and stuff like that. But if you do one big list, let's say a list of 100,000, but we only have a limit of 20,000, so when we send a campaign, it just means that if you want to send a campaign to the entire list, it's going to take 5 days for the system to go through all the emails before he says, okay, we have finally finished 100,000 email. Now you can start again. All right.
Right. That's correct. And again, you would check the status of that here with the view scheduled email queue. I see a lot of folks that don't realize that's how to get back to that area. That's why I've said it multiple times, but always go here, see what the activity status is. If it's still mailing, you don't want to start another because it will duplicate the send rate and could get your server blocked very, very quickly.
Right. Okay. So you just want to say, should then the activity status say, it must say finished or what is the word that is using? Finish, in progress, or?
Yeah, it'll stay completed.
Completed. Perfect. All right. So it looks like then if you do have large list, then once you do the first send, let's assume your list is 100,000, and then let's assume then only 5% of the people in that list have opened and clicked and engaged with their email, then you can say, okay, you can say, now we're sending email just to those 5%. And you know that those are active, they're active things. And then what you're going to do, maybe eventually with that list, you just might want to retry a couple of more times and you just purge it. You just pretty much clean it out as you go, and you just keep inside those ones, then they're actually really engaging with you.
And you don't really have to purge the system, at all, because, I mean, it's pretty automated, and you can see by this ridiculous number.
I know. I was looking at that. I said, you have 10 trillion contacts. Yeah. You can actually go crazy with that.
Yeah, so you can have as many leads. And remember that not everyone responds to their emails like us crazies, like every few seconds.
Right, exactly. So that some people, they're busy, they're with their life, with their kids, with their work, so they might email a couple of days after that.
A couple of days, a week. I mean, sometimes they check it once a month, I mean, it might be an account they don't use as often, but they do check. So it's usually best to leave the leads on the system, because you can always go back and do the send to just the opens and clickers again, and it may have more than the last time you did, because now new people have checked their email and clicked through. And
right, and then you can do the opposite as well. It says, okay, well, now we send email only to those that did not engage, so it doesn't bother the other ones. So yeah.
Exactly.
So does, when you send the email to those then they did not open, does the system give you, says, okay, you have now out of the 10,000, you only have in 6,576 email that are going out? Does it give an indication of what we'll be sending or not?
I'm not quite clear of the question.
So let's assume you have a 10,000 list and your system is going through that, and only as percentage open, let's say 3,000 have opened email, but you have the other 7,000 not open. So as you show us earlier, your filter can say, okay, now we're sending email to only to those that did not engage. Does the system tells you says only that particular number of the list does not engage, or is just an internal check? Then it does. It doesn't give you a number per se. It doesn't say, hey, only 7,002 people have not opened your email.
Yeah, it will give you a finite number once you've created the campaign.
It will give you an actual number. It says, okay.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick example of that. So let's say we're going to send to just the opens here. Of course, we have none, right? Filter, let's see, by opened email, has opened any email campaign. It will be sent to one contact because there's only one person.
Okay, so actually the system calculates so it will do the same calculation also to the one that did not open. So you know how many people did not open your email.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. It does a full, but I mean, I still like the segmentation thing. If you do have to make one big list, sending to just people in particular states or whatever fields you have in your system can prime your system a little bit better at the beginning, rather than just starting 100,000 lists and let it go for days and days and days. It may be best to, because then you can check it. I know a lot of people just want to set it and forget it, but that's not what this is. Especially at the beginning, when you're really just trying to hone your response rate, your content, and if you're getting a lot of bounces the first 24 hours, you probably want to pause it, change your subject line. You can change all that on the fly, to see if you can improve that. So it does take a little bit of babysitting there to make sure everything's going. But let's say in this case, I wanted to just again send to people in Florida, Oh, we didn't have state in this particular list. So.
No, you only had the first name, last
First
name.
name. Yeah. So, but it would give you a hard number there, and it may be only 1,000 out of your, or 100,000. So that 1,000 would go out. The next day you come in, you set it to the other. Now, and that's just when you first get the system. Remember, these systems are brand new. The domain name has just been registered for the most part. The IPs are new. They're all neutral based. There's no good reputation. There's no bad. So you have to kind of make that reputation then. If you get a little bit too eager and just start, sending a really, bad message to a lot of leads, the results are not going to be as pleasing.
So let me ask you this, because you have a lot of experience. So what would you suggest would be the first email to a brand new list and a customer in our client's purchase? Mm-hmm. What would you suggest would be the very first email then you get out, and for them to start engaging and to start building this reputation?
Basically, try to lead with a question. Has always been my main thing, because it requires a response. It requires a response. So if you're, it could be something as simple. I don't recommend asking people if they've found their own business yet or anything like that. Mm-hmm. You may want to ask them how they're doing in life, how, what they're actively doing. I've seen people get really good success by just saying, hey, I'm looking for something, and I'm just wondering if you're involved in something that I might be interested in.
So you kind of do a reverse psychology.
Reverse. The other way around, yeah. Of course, people are more eager to respond, and that at least gets the door open, and just to get to talk to folks, because it is, then you invite them to your Facebook, you show them what you're doing, you ask what they're doing, and at least you've got somebody responding there. But, really you're looking for people that are mostly like you. So, put a lot of your heart and soul into your content, because that really is what's going to connect you with the people that you probably will work best with. Perfect.
Okay, then Mark, I know you're super busy, guys. Do you think then we should share anything else with our crowd? I'm thinking you cover pretty much everything on your system.
Yeah, no, I think that's basically it. Like I said, the system does a lot of things, and don't worry, you're not going to break it per se. So you can play around with some of this, but but if people want to play with the autoresponders, they should probably contact us first, make sure that it makes sense to do it, because again, you don't want to drop 100,000 lists on a 10 email series. I remember in the past they used to do that. It just doesn't make sense now. It just uses up too many resources, and since your reputation is based on engagement, you really want to be spending more time with the engaging part of your list.
Right. So this is basically a long-term goal. Just build the reputation, and then in the future, when you start sending more email, your server, your IP address, or your domain are clean, and then you will reach even more people. So exactly. it is a build out. So you need to start slowly and build it out.
Yep, exactly.
And then you're reachable. So for all the folks out there, Mark and his team is reachable all the time via email, by phone, depending on what package you purchase. And as you can see, he's a great fellow, so he was always there to help you. Mark, I want to thank you again for your time today and showing us your beautiful system. Folks, the link is going to be right underneath the video. So when you want to just purchase JmailerPro, click the link below, and then you will get directly into the order page, okay? And for all the guys who are watching these, I'll talk to you soon.